and I'm back with another amazing podcast with one of the amazing guests we have with us. Her name is Muska Satar Jandurani. I know it's a big name, and she's going to tell the meaning of her name to my audience too. And she is into brand marketing strategist. She is a CEO of Volkswagen Lab as well. Um, Thank you so much, Muska, for taking out some time in this busy schedule and on Sunday for this podcast. Please introduce yourself to my audience.
Okay, hi. I'm Muska. I am founder and CEO of Vulcan Lab. And Vulcan Lab is basically a marketing lab where we work with brands all over the world, building them from scratch. Um, Coming from a creative side to a marketing side to a leadership role, I've covered a lot of bases at this point. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. And Muska basically means smile in Pashto. It's a Pashto word, so that's what it means.
Nice. Good. So, Muska, how did you start your journey from a creative role to becoming a CEO? It's a big journey, I would say. So, tell us about that.
So if I tell you my actual journey, it might sound a little unbelievable because I talk a lot about creativity and about marketing and all that stuff. But I come from a family of very creative people. My mom was a theater artist and poetess, and she has her own book. My dad is a
Okay.
cultural economist, and he is an art historian, designer too. So there's like a lot of creativity in my own family. And one of the things that I wanted to do was not come into any creative roles at all. I wanted to be a marine biologist, and somehow it didn't work out. Yeah, it sounds weird, but yeah, I wanted to be a marine biologist, did not work out. And my dad was like, okay, spend a semester just learning about creativity, and because it's what I knew all my life. And I had a bet with a friend, and he said you wouldn't last a week in the institute. And I was like, you know what, I'll last a month. And I liked it so much. I spent the next 4 years there. My first major was painting. I loved it. I learned all of the techniques, and then I switched my major because I'm very big on learning to visual communication design. And I had a minor in art history. I did sculpture in my thesis work. So I
Wow.
did a couple of things. And then after I graduated, I was working as a designer, and I was in a creative direction role. I had a team with me, and I liked it so much. The working not just as a designer but also leading the team, and also leading how brands would be working. I took up brand strategy and brand management and innovation management as specializations alongside video game design and music production too, that we don't talk about. Um, but yeah, I did that, and I went into brand management roles, and then I went into marketing and strategy, and it was very natural for me to come into this role. I wouldn't say there was a specific point. Of course, there is a specific point in everyone's life when they get into a leadership role. But for me, it was I had been working with teams. I had been leading teams for a good amount of time. So and at one point I was like, you know what, it's time to do something of my own. I had a little bit of push from one of my mentors, but yeah, and so I did that. Yeah.
I think mentors push is very important.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need a little push to get things done, and mentors are there for us to
Exactly.
guide us. Very nice.
Exactly.
It's quite a journey, man. Okay, what was the first big risk you took in your career that changed everything?
I think one of the biggest risks I took was starting my company and my own journey. And so I'll tell you, I was working in a conglomerate, very stable job. I left that to work in a tech company and built them from ground up in marketing. And then I left that to work. I got an opportunity to work as a lecturer at a university. And 4 days into that, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm doing something of my own. So I think that was one of the biggest risks for me because I had not told my family anything about it. I was like, okay, I'm just going to take this risk. And it was either going home to tell my family that I had failed or making it a success. So it was just like working hard and making sure for a good amount of months that nothing fails. So I think it was a very big success, and it was a very big risk in its own entirety as well. So I think starting anything is a very big risk for anyone, but for me it was something out of this world.
And I think sometimes you need to get out of your comfort zone to do
Yeah,
something big. So a lot
yeah,
of people, they wanted to be in their comfort zone and don't want to, don't want to see the bigger picture of what's up.
yeah. That's
But
extremely
then,
important. That's extremely
yeah,
important. Getting out of that zone.
yeah, we all learn from our mistakes, I think. So I've also done a lot of mistakes in the past, but the journey is good now. Okay, what was the moment when you felt, yes, I am meant to build brands?
Okay, that's a very good question. So I after COVID hit, I was working as a visiting lecturer at another university, and then I decided I when that visiting period ended, I was just painting. I was painting different things and different pieces on any material I could get my hands on because it was COVID time
Okay,
and you couldn't really get canvases and anything. So and my sister pushed me. She was like, you know what, stop this, do something. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I don't want to design anymore. What do I do? And I looked back at my design career and I really liked when I was doing creative direction. So I think that was one of the moments when I looked up a couple of jobs on Indeed and LinkedIn, and there wasn't anything for brand management, right? And I had taken a couple of specializations, and there was one job specifically, and they had the intake for the role next year. So I kept a goal, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And honestly, working towards building something or creating something from scratch, because I'm a very creative person. As much as I am analytical, I'm extremely creative. So I have like a ton of ideas going in my head at the same time. And so it's I think it was that time where I realized I can actually put them to and put them to an actual result and bring them to life. So I did start a couple of my own brands as well. I'll be completely honest. I started perfumes, did not work out. Started jewelry, did not work out. Started tote bags. It worked out for a good amount of time. Then our textile industry failed, did not work out. And then I decided, okay, you know what? If it's this is the side that's not working, I might as well utilize my own creative side and build it for other people. And I think that was the moment where everything changed for me, and I went from just being a designer to somebody who builds brands for other people. Yeah.
wow, you've tried a lot of things,
A
right?
lot of things.
Okay,
Big
good,
on
good,
learning
good.
here.
I think that's the way it should be, because if you don't make mistakes, you won't learn.
Yeah,
So
I
that's how
agree.
you
I
learn.
agree. I agree.
Good. So how has your thinking changed after becoming a CEO compared to when you were a marketer?
Okay, so that is a very there's a very fine line between that. I'll be completely honest because I am a CEO of a marketing company, right? So there's a very fine line between that. But I feel like when you are working as a marketer, what a lot of people do is they look at the present, right? They look at, okay, what is the marketing result going to be today? And by present, I just don't mean like specifically today, but I mean like, okay, short term present, right? Or short term future, which is going to be like, okay, 3 months down the lane, how is it going to look? When you come into a CEO role, especially for a marketing company or any CEO specific role, you think about the future a lot. You think about the long term memorability of anything. You think about the long term impact of what you're going to be doing, especially in marketing, right? So it's more about systems. When you are in a CEO role, when I was in a marketing role, now if I was working a job, I would be like, oh my God, why are they not giving me a company card for running marketing? Right? Or why is this not happening? This is an amazing idea. Why are we not executing it? But when you come in a CEO role, you understand, okay,
Yeah.
everything has a specific time. There's a specific process. There's a specific system you have to build and a system that you have to follow for everything to be a success. So I think it's a very fine line between that. You can understand
Yeah.
that as a marketer as well. Of course, if you have empathy, you understand other people's perspectives, and you're like, okay, this is probably why we're not doing it. But as a CEO, you have to really take systems into account and build systems for the success of that marketing piece or that campaign or anything for that brand to be a success for the long term. So I think that's one of the major differences I learned when I stepped into a role of leadership.
And you're absolutely right about that, because when I became a leader, and the very first thing I was like, कि जो चीजें पहले we used to hate as an individual contributor,
Yeah,
and now when we have to implement that as a leader, now it makes sense why that was different at that time. So
yeah,
you're right. It's like putting yourself in the other person's shoe and understand. how it feels like. Very
Yeah,
nice.
exactly.
Okay, what's the hardest decision you had to make as a leader so far?
Oh, okay. I think as a leader, you make hard decisions every day. I won't
Yeah,
negate or neglect any of those. But I think one of the things that I've built Vulcan specifically on is quality and standard of the work we deliver, the work ethic that we have. So that the hardest decisions I had to make was like, telling people that I loved personally because of their work ethic, or because of the way the work was being delivered, that we could not work. That was one of the hardest decisions. Another is like working with amazing clients, but because they wanted fast success, and in marketing fast success just means short-term visibility, right? So telling amazing projects no, because we stand on a specific level of quality. So I think those are some of the hard decisions I have to make almost very frequently. I wouldn't say almost every day, but very frequently you have to make those decisions. And so yeah, I think those are one of the hardest decisions.
right. In your view, what separates a manager from a true leader?
Okay, so a lot of people, yeah, that's one question that I would really like to give my take on. So a lot of people manage; they are leading a team, but there is a difference between a manager and a true leader. So if a manager, in my opinion, and a lot of people might disagree with this, but a manager, in my opinion, takes care of the tasks and the outcomes, and a true leader takes care of the direction as well, right? They're not just looking at the tasks or the outcomes, they're also looking at the direction, which is more long term. So a manager is leading at the same time, but it's very short term, whereas a true leader thinks about the long term effect. So if I give you an example, and this is an example I give to a lot of people, if you're in a ship and your team is in a ship and the whole brand itself is in a ship, right? You're going on a boat, right? A manager might be steering the ship, but a true leader will be with the compass and the binoculars and the map, telling you, okay, which direction to go, and also making sure the people who are on the ship, they're looking in different directions, but they're all on the same path. So I think that's one major difference between a manager and a true leader. And that's just long term sightedness of how the things are going to progress and how things are going to be going. And it's not just based on like tasks and outcomes. There's a lot of strategy of planning that comes in when you become a true leader.
Amazing. And I also have a similar kind of mindset, and I believe uh, in leadership style, which is
Yeah.
transformational. I tend to train people and make them realize that one day you need to become a manager too,
Yeah.
or maybe you need to be at the higher level. So I teach them how to get to that level rather than spoon feeding
Yeah.
them, because I've seen a lot of
Exactly.
managers, they tend to spoon feed people to get the outcomes,
Yeah.
but I think that's a wrong approach.
Yeah.
No matter what the outcome is, your approach should always be to transform people.
Exactly.
Once you do that, then it's the auto mode,
Yeah.
and then the results are going to be
I agree.
there.
I
It's just
agree.
that
I
you need to
agree.
wait
You
for some
can't
time.
babysit people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but a lot of managers do that just to get the results right away. Very nice. I like. I'm liking the conversation we're heading towards. Anyways, okay. How do you lead when things are unclear or results are slow?
Okay. So, Hassan, I wouldn't say results are ever slow. I think if you have a strategy and plan in place, results will follow through, and results come on their own pace. Things can be uncertain at specific times, especially in marketing, because there are high peaks and there are low peaks, and there's a huge analytical side to that. But I think if you have a strategy and plan in place and you're following through on that, and it's backed by data and it's backed by research, it's backed by understanding your ideal audience, your who your audience, your target audience is, you can never expect results to be slow. You can, maybe they come 2 weeks later, but that's going to be according to the strategy. If you go away from it and you are just doing what you want to do in building a brand or doing your marketing just because you think it would look nice, without results, without data or research, that's when results start to become slow, and you don't see results as you would want them to see. But yeah, if you have a strategy in place, if you have a plan in place, everything is going from like point A to B to C to D instead of jumping from point A to Z. You'll see the results happen. But when things do happen where things become unclear, especially in marketing, that's there is a possibility. So it just means, I one of the things I do is I make sure I appreciate my team because of the effort that they're putting in is amazing. Everyone's doing their best at the end of the day. So I do make sure, like, if the results are slow or if things are unclear, it doesn't in any way hinder their performance, or it doesn't in any way, because in a creative field everything is more personal. If you're creating something creative, you're very touched to it, you're very connected to it. So I have to tell them, like, hey, it's all good. We're this is what we're doing. And also, like, having a plan B and a plan C for something is really important too. So if something's not working out, hop on to the next plan, reevaluate your strategy, fix things that are not working before things break. So I think that's extremely important.
Very nice. And I think you in during the talk you talked about appreciation, and I think appreciation do wonders. I do have
Yeah,
a
it
small
does.
example to share. So, I was managing a team of customer success managers, and
Hmm.
uh, at the end of the quarter, I appreciated everyone, and by mistake, I forgot to appreciate one of the lady in my team. And when I was done with the meeting, I was about to offer my Maghrib prayer, and before I was about to go on a break, I got a message on Slack from that lady that you have appreciated everyone except me. Now you tell me, why should I work hard this quarter? Why should I do some things out of the box? And she questioned my entire leadership just because by mistake, मैं भूल गया उसको appreciate करना. And first, I paused for a second. I was like, let's give her a harsh reply. You're getting paid for it. So, it's hard नहीं करी मेरे पे. Then नहीं. मैं कहा, नहीं, this is not the right
Yeah,
approach.
that's not the right
तो
approach.
मैंने कहा मैं नमाज पढ़ता हूँ जरा Then I took some time and I realized that she's right, because as a leader you're like a parent. अगर आप अपने
Yeah,
बच्चों को appreciate नहीं कर रहे, regardless of how good or bad they are, they accept a lot from you.
yeah.
And then I apologized to her that, like, it was an honest mistake, and I do value your efforts and hard work. So just keep up the good work, and don't be disappointed because that was an honest mistake. So appreciation do
it
wonders.
goes
A
it
very
goes a
powerful
long
tool.
way. It
It
goes a
is.
long way, and honestly, everyone wants to be appreciated. If I'm doing something, I would want to be appreciated for it. And it's a very natural, it's a very human instinct, it's a very human take. So I think it should never be negated, it should never be
I think
neglected.
God ने भी अल्लाह ने भी अच्छे काम के बदले हमारे लिए जन्नत रखी हुई है. So we always want a reward out of that, right?
Yeah,
So
makes
you're
sense.
right. Human brains are designed this way. Very nice. What leadership habit do you practice daily that people don't talk about?
Okay, there's a couple, but one of the things that I do a lot is I make sure I'm responsive fast, right? So I feel like I respect other people's time a lot, and I think that's one of the major things when you are a leader. If you are leading people, your team depends on you, your clients depend on you, people you're networking with, they also in some way depend on you. So I one of the things I do is I'm very fast in responding. If I'm not available, I tell my team, if I'm going in a meeting, if I'm not available, text me. I'll respond after like 10 to 15 minutes, but I will respond. So I make sure like no message or no check-in is left untapped. And another thing that I do at the end of the day is when I'm clocking out and I'm dead out of my my mind, I make sure that I recheck everything. Like this is one
Nice.
thing I do. Like nothing at the end of the day goes unchecked. If things need to be
Hmm.
delivered, if somebody sent me something for review, I'll make sure I take the time out to do that, because at the end of the day they're depending on me. My team is depending on me, clients depend on us. So it's extremely important that you respect other people's time, and that's one of the, I think it's a very strong trait to have as a leader, and it's very necessary too. So I think that's one of the things that I do.
Spot on. You're hitting the right nail, I would say. Very nice. Okay, let's get out of the leadership role and then let's talk about the branding part, the favorite
Okay.
part of yours. If a brand has limited budget, where should it invest first? Product, marketing, or people?
Okay. I know I have a marketing lab, but I will tell you something completely opposite. Marketing is the last place you need to invest in. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Right? I wouldn't say jump into marketing right away. You should invest in your people first. then your product, and then marketing. And I'll explain why. I have a whole equation for this. So one of the things that if your people are not good at what they do and the product is bad, no matter how much you spend in marketing, it's going to be very short lived. If
Okay.
your people are great, product bad, how much you spend in marketing, still bad, right? If your product's bad, sorry, if your people's bad, product's great, how much you spend in marketing, still bad. But if your people are amazing at what they do, they understand the product, they understand the customers, they understand the ideal consumer, they build the product according to that, and then they market it, it hits the spot. So
Wow.
it's always training your people, getting the systems right, then building the product out of it, and then finally doing the marketing for it. I would never, this is something I get on a lot of calls, and they're like, we need to do this, and we need to do this in marketing and that in marketing. I'm like, no, I love that you want to do that, but this is where I would recommend you spend your time, your money, your energy first. Because if you spend this much budget on marketing and you have nothing for your product, and your product's bad, your system's bad, your operations are bad, your finances are looking bad, what are you going to do with the short-term marketing that's only going to work for 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, even a year? But after that, it's going to crash. So I think it's extremely important to work on people first, product, and then marketing.
Spot on. And I truly believe in that because I've been training my team a lot on how good they need to be in terms of product. Because if you know the product inside out, only then you can
Yeah,
add some value to your customer's life.
yeah,
At the end of the day, it's all about solving their problem through your product. It's not just selling
yeah,
at the end of the day.
exactly.
So spot on, spot on. How do you balance creativity versus data when building brand strategies?
Okay, so I love data. No matter how my friends and my family, they see me as a very creative person, but personally, I know I'm more of a data oriented person. And I love analytics, diving into analytics, doing market research, getting into data is my favorite part,
Hmm.
because it explains the what and the why and the where and the when, right? So what I do is, and what we do in Vulcan specifically is we use the data first. The data comes first, then comes the creativity, right? And what we do is with the data, we take care of the what, the why, the when, and balance that with the creativity of how we execute that data. So if I'll give you an example, so suppose we're selling a tissue box, right? We'll look at what the audience is looking at, the market is looking at, what needs to be done, all of that using the data, and then we'll think of a very out of the box approach to market that tissue box. So that's, I think that's extremely important to understand. A lot of people just think, because if you're just looking at creativity, then it's just a nice visual to look at. It's just a nice, pretty picture to look at with no backing whatsoever. So maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. There's a big risk there. But if you have the data to back it, if you understand the data and everything is built based on the data, it's always gonna work in your favor.
I think you're right. What makes brand memorable, not just visible?
So I think one of the things that a lot of people want, especially after AI has hit us, and everything, everywhere you look, there's a new AI tool. People want to be visible. A lot of people are building their own brands. A lot of people are doing their own thing, which is amazing, right? But one of the things I keep telling clients is that you don't need just visibility. You need memorability, right? Because for long-term success, you need to be a memorable brand. And I'll give you an example. If you look at Nike, right? Even if you don't have Nike written there and there's just a tick, you know it's Nike, right? Because it's memorable. Because they've affiliated themselves with something. They stand for something. If you look at Nike, you automatically associate athletes with it because those are the brand ambassadors, right? And they specifically understand their audience very well. They stand for something. They stand against something. They have opinions, and they understand their audience. These four things are extremely important because if you want to be memorable, you have to have an opinion. You have to stand for something because if you're not standing for anything, what are you doing? You're just doing neutral work. You're just presenting a neutral brand. I think it's extremely important to understand that visibility is great for short term, but memorability is needed for a long term success. So even if Nike's not here And there's so many times you're if you have a Nike shoe, or if you have a Nike outfit, anything with the Nike tag on it, and the tick fades out, even half the tick is left, you see it's Nike because they've made their brand memorable. So I think that's extremely important. Understanding your target audience, standing for something, standing against something as well is extremely important.
You're right. And just like if we talk about antiseptic, the very first thing comes to mind is Dettol.
Yeah.
Though there are a lot of other companies creating the same chemical, but yeah, you're right. Noodles, Maggie, and other
Yeah.
examples are too. One question which I wanted to ask in terms of um, self branding, because we're talking about the branding part. What do you think? How important is self branding when you're talking to your customers or even talking to someone in general? Because we do tend to market a lot of product, but I think it has got a lot to do with your self brand too, how people see you, how you present yourself in front of a lot of people. So, what's your take on self branding?
So I think it's extremely important to have personal branding at the moment, and I'll tell you why. Because now people don't associate with brands as such. If you look at like the example I gave you of Nike, they have brand ambassadors who are people connect with, right? If you look at any specific major brand, they have brand ambassadors. So it's extremely important to work on your personal brand, because people connect with humans more than they connect with a product at the end of the day, right? And suppose if I'm working on my own personal brand, or you're working on your own personal brand, it's very important that you show your personality instead of saying what the industry wants you to say. And this is something I tell a lot of our personal brand clients as well. Like, what is your opinion on this thing in your industry? And they're like, okay, this works, but like, this person said this. And I'm like, no, no, don't worry about that. Tell me what you think about this. So anything that is created for your personal brand can be completely true to you, because people can easily, if you look at LinkedIn, there's so many AI generated content pieces. People can literally in a different moment they can tell AI from human apart, right? So it's extremely important to work on a personal brand, because at the end of the day, people connect with humans more. But it's also extremely important at the same time, stand for something, stand against something, so you can find the right audience, they will connect with you, and the wrong audience will automatically move away. And you never want the wrong audience, because the wrong audience just gives you visibility for a very short amount of time, but there's no revenue, there's no reputation, there's no retention, there's no respect there. So it's extremely important.
Agreed, 100%. How do you decide what to say what to say no to, even when opportunities look very attractive?
Okay, as I was just saying about reputation, respect, retention, and revenue, right? So there's some amazing opportunities that we've gotten in Vulcan, and there's some amazing opportunities that we had to say no to. And we have a 4R framework that I follow, and if any of those are missing, we don't work on those projects. There's respect, there's revenue, there's reputation, and then there's retention. So if there's no respect, between mutual respect, work is never going to be good, right? Whatever we present is not going to be respected. Whatever you say, it's just going to be a bad relationship, right? If there's a lot of brands want amazing things, and everyone does for their own brands, but of course the quality of work, the standards that we deliver on, the ethics that we have, they at the end of the day, it's a marketing lab, it comes at a cost, right? So that needs to be looked into as well. Then there's reputation. We have made Vulcan to be a space that works with specific kind of brands that are creating an impact, right? So if it doesn't match with our business goals, we don't work with those brands. And then retention, if we cannot give you the long-term retention that we want for your brand, we don't work on it. I would recommend them to somebody else who could deliver what they would want. But yeah, these 4 R's are something that we stand on very firmly. And if even if it's an amazing opportunity, but if it doesn't match those, we tend to not work on those.
And I agree with you, because at the end of the day, whatever you said, it's all about giving some sort of experience to the customer.
Yeah,
We tend to sell product, but I think the companies who are successful, they focus more on experience rather than
yeah,
selling the product to the customers.
exactly,
Because at
exactly.
the end of the day, customer will remember you as as an individual for the company, they're not going to remember the company. And I always tell my folks that the rapport building you should do with the customer should be in a way that whenever customer needs any help, he should think about Hassan or Muska. He should not be thinking about he's gonna call Motive or any other company for that matter. They should think about you when they have a problem.
Yeah,
So that's the power.
yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
agree.
good. What belief about success you have unlearned over time?
I think one of the major things that I had to unlearn was success comes fast. It doesn't. There's a lot of hours that you have to put into. There's a lot of work that you need to put into it to get success in any, whether it's the smallest milestone you have to achieve. It comes with a lot of work that people don't see when you're on top of the mountain. There's a lot of things that you've done to get there. So I think that's one of the things that it's very important to unlearn. Yeah.
And another question, which is very important to understand, because we are humans at the end of the day, and whenever we have success or we have a leadership role, we tend to forget that actually we are human being and we are dealing with humans. So sometimes
Yeah.
we react very differently. So what keeps you grounded during high growth phases?
One of the, I'm sure you must have heard this quote. It's not the exact quote, but it is a paraphrase of it. So, good or bad days, they have to end, right? It really keeps you grounded for, and when I think about this, like whether it's a good day, they might be a bad day. Whether it's a bad day, there might be a good day. That comes with both high growth phases and slow growth phases. That you have to be prepared for it. So one thing that keeps me very grounded is knowing, okay, this high growth phase, it might come to an end, so like be prepared. And the same goes with the slow growth phase. I'm like very grounded, not very calm about it, because I'm like, okay, high growth phase is gonna come. So it does help to keep you grounded during high growth phases, and so you don't get over in your head and think about random things. And it also helps you prepare a lot for the next phase, and you have to be prepared, because at the end of the day that phase is going to end. Phases don't stick. There are peaks and there are lows, so it's extremely important to understand that.
Yep. How many employees do you have in your company?
I have around we have around 7 people at the moment.
Seven. I want to ask you a question which is related to the next question I'm going to ask. Out of those seven people, how many of them knows Muska's mission behind the company or the vision behind the company? And I'll tell you why
So
I'm asking this.
okay, so when we are hiring people for our team, and we have a lot of people. We had at one point we had a huge number of people in our team, some external team members as well and some internal as well. So we had to cut down and then rebuild the team as well. So the people at the moment, they understand not just my mission and vision behind it, but they understand Vulcan's purpose. And they're I've very selectively handpicked people. And and I'm very grateful for each one of them. I really do appreciate each one of them, because they're on that same mission. They do understand this importance of building a brand right, delivering something good, making sure we're creating an impact. And so I would honestly say that they do get it.
And what do you think why it is important?
I think it's extremely important for your team to know what you stand for, because at the end of the day, it's not just your clients that you're leading or you're talking to, right? You're leading a team. You're why are they even working with you if they don't know what you stand for? What if they don't know the purpose of the company? So I think it's extremely important for your team to know why the company is working on a specific project, why they're doing something. Even if, like, if I have a meeting with my team, there's a purpose behind it. And I'm not talking about the agenda. I'm talking about, like, why am I connecting with the team? They have to have that understanding. And I think it's extremely important, because they then understand it, they then connect with it. And if you are leading a team of people, it's extremely important for you to explain that to them, your vision. If you're not explaining your vision, your goals, the purpose of your business to them, how are they going to be able to trust you and deliver what their expertise are fully 110% to you if they don't understand that?
I agree with you 100%. And the reason why I ask this question is because I did a small experiment while hosting. one of the HR events, and I did ask this question from a lot of
Mm-hmm.
individual contributors, and they were not aware of the vision. Why this is important is because if I have a team working under me, and they know what my mission is as a manager, or maybe if I'm owning a brand, and if my employees know what my vision is, I think when you have vision inculcated in their minds, they first thing they are with you in that mission. Second, they
Exactly.
just like you own the business, they do have some sort of
Ownership.
mental capability of owning that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that with this, the entire framework, how they're going to operate is going to be different one
Exactly.
when they are aligned with your vision. So it's very important, but unfortunately, sadly, a lot of companies are not focusing on this part. I
Yeah.
think this is a very important aspect of that.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
kind of legacy do you want to build through Vulcan Lab?
So with Vulcan, as I mentioned, we work with specific brands. We work on creating impactful brands in terms of what they do, what they deliver, the audience they connect with, all of that. So for me, I think if I had to keep a legacy for Vulcan, it would be to, keep working on impactful brands, not moving away from the values that we've built Vulcan on, and people coming to us because of those values, those standards, that impact. I think that would be a good legacy to have.
Okay, let's jump towards the
Okay.
question. I had a great discussion with you over the serious topic, so let's have some fun. Coffee or chai, and why?
Okay. You might find me a little indecisive on this. I'll tell you why. So I work from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m., right? Yeah.
Wow.
So when I'm working, I have at least 12 to 15 mugs of coffee, and I'm throughout my day, right? But if I have a day off, I'm not going for coffee. I'm going for chai. And
Okay.
everyone knows you need a good karak coffee, a good karak chai,
Chai.
right? Right. And I feel like chai itself is very soft. It makes it's very grounding. It's very gradual compared to coffee, which gives you an instant boost and an instant spark. So I think if I'm working, I would have coffee, but if I'm on my day off, I'm all about chai. Very, very big on chai that way. Yeah.
Very nice. I'm also a coffee lover, so
Wow.
okay, good. One habit you can't live without.
One habit that I can't live without, I think writing things down. If I'm in a meeting, if I'm talking to you, I'll have my note taker working on one screen, and then I'll have meeting minutes going on as well. And I'll also be noting things down on my notebook. You have no idea how many times I looked at my notebook in this conversation. So I cannot live without writing things down. And if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. So I need it
Right.
written down.
I think yeah, that's very important because if the idea is in your mind, it's nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Uh, if you were not in branding, what would you be doing? I
I
think
think
you
if
already
a
answered that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
hands
but
down.
like I
But
think I would be painting. Like if I wasn't in branding, like I would of course be a marine biologist, but I'll be completely honest, I'm really afraid of the water. Deep waters are not for me. But I do think I would just be painting my mind out. I would just be sitting painting a lot of different canvases. That's all.
okay, cool. One thing people assume about CEO that is totally wrong.
Oh, that we have everything figured out. I think I think a lot of people think, oh, you get into a leadership position and you have everything, you understand everything, and everything's figured out. But I'll give you an example. If I get something at 2 p.m. and I have to communicate that to my team, I have a team meeting every day at 7 p.m. with my team, right? And I have to communicate that to my team at 7 p.m. There are chances where I wouldn't have figured out, like, okay, how do I tell my team this, or what are the next steps that I need to take? I would have thought about 15,000 different possibilities. Okay, this is not going to work, this is not going to work, and then when I get to my team, I give the best possible possibility of that moment. But yeah, I think one thing that people assume about CEOs is that, and leaders specifically, is that they have everything sorted, everything's figured out, and at the end of the day, my team does reach out to me if they need support, and this is that's the role of a leader, that's the role of a CEO, to be there to give that support. So you cannot let the team know that you haven't figured it out, because who else are they going to reach out to? But I think that's something a lot of people think about when they think about CEOs.
It's just like मर्द को भी दर्द होता है.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you so much, Muska, for this amazing podcast. And I'm definitely planning to bring you up in upcoming podcasts too.
I was
I
looking
thoroughly
forward to
enjoyed the
it.
conversation and
Likewise.
it was great. Thank you so much.
Thank
And